episode of Virtual Coffee. My name is Alexa Collier, and on this podcast, I chat with early career professionals and small business owners. We discuss their journeys, perspectives, pieces of advice for others, and in general, just about their passions. Now with me today is Sammy, the founder and owner of Shop Sammy. They create handmade items that are personalized to you, and Shop Sammy is based out of New Jersey. They are able to ship most of their items within the United States, and this episode is, as always, a fun one. Sammy takes us through her journey of launching her business and some of her future goals, walks us through some of the products she sells, and gives her advice for other small business owners. Now, before we dive into Sammy's story, I'd really appreciate if you could rate and review Virtual Coffee on the Apple Podcast app. It takes about 5 to 10 seconds to do so, and it really helps other people discover our podcast and episodes. You can also follow us along on social media everywhere, on every social media outlet. It's all at Virtual Coffee Podcast. So as always, thank you so much for listening, and thank you for supporting the podcast, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Now let's hear from Sammy. Welcome, Sammy. Thank you so much for being on Virtual Coffee.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yes, I am too. I always love talking to business owners. So let's dive right in. And usually how I start off most episodes here is just diving into the why behind Shop Sammy. So, perhaps diving into your mission, maybe some background on how you started your business. Just give us some context.
Yeah, so my mission here is to create products and events that make people feel appreciated. I don't like to bring things that are for anybody. We make items that are personally for you. So your name will be on it, either your favorite colors, it matches your house. The items are completely yours when we create them. So if you look on our website, we'll always have color choices, font choices, personalization, text boxes. It's always like a new item when we bring it to the shop. So that's something that we do. And then another thing we do here is we work with other businesses. So we do a lot of printing on merchandise. We do clothing, signage, any kind of advertising that they can use to get their name out there too. So as I'm building my business, I'm trying to help other small businesses build their business too.
Yeah, that's so great to hear. I love when businesses are able to collaborate, and it just, that's also why I love the small business world too. It just seems there's so many opportunities for those collaborations, and really it's just valuable for both businesses, right? For both partners. There's really no downside to it.
And I really didn't realize it either. The first customer I worked for was my uncle. He owns a pizzeria down in North Carolina. And he said, I need business shirts. So if you're making t-shirts, I might as well order them from you. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So he ended up ordering, I think it was like 65 t-shirts. And it totally just overwhelmed me. And I was like, I'm never doing this again. Like all this stuff. And then once I seen him post like his whole staff in them, and it was like they were selling them to customers and they were making money off of them, it just like kind of like opened my eye. I was like, oh, like, this is kind of cool. Like, my stuff's going out, yes, in their name, but it's still, I was like a part of helping them grow. So it just, I don't know, it hit different. And then I started working for somebody locally. Her name's Natalie. She owns Coco Glow. She's an airbrush technician. So she asked me to print on a few things for her once COVID hit. She needed some masks, just like tank tops, things to like give their customers, still like keep her in the loop. It just ended up blowing up. She like referred me to all these different people, and I started working with like different wedding vendors just so they could still send their brides things during COVID. And it was just like really cool. It just ended up going into like a different direction.
I really like that you experimented that with your uncle and the pizzeria and then took it further, right? You didn't just stop there. So that.
Yeah, no. Now it's like tons and tons of businesses, and it's like businesses out of state and, all over New Jersey. And it's just brought me like to their friends and families and different things like that. Really awesome.
Yeah, that's cool to hear. And I'm interested in the process of working with these other businesses. Like, you guys get in contact with each other. Clearly, you collaborate on a product. But what is that process like? Do you supply all the materials? Do they give you the design? Like, what's kind of that relationship like when you work with these other businesses?
So when I work with them, it's funny because at first I would go to the office if they were local. and I would bring the t-shirts that I use, the cups that I use, just like basic things that I could do for them. And I would show them the products, and some would love them, and some would be like it wasn't their kind of product. I started to realize, maybe I should open the door to giving them some of my wholesale websites, letting them like take a look at what's on there, see what I can offer, what I can print on. That really took a big leap, because it really got to get them into clothing that they were comfortable in. So that's another way that it really grew. Another way businesses do it is they buy their own products, and then they'll either ship them to me or they'll drop them off because they're locally, and I will just charge them a printing fee. So it goes either way. Whatever fits best for the business. I have tons to offer them on my end, but if maybe they're not crazy about what I offer them, they can bring ideas to my shop and we can print on them.
Yeah, seems every partnership is slightly different, right? You really work with them and do what best suits their needs and their goals.
Yes, and like for the two businesses that I use as an example, like Natalie with her tanning business, she has a very different kind of taste in clothing. So she like wants her clothing exactly like what she's envisioning. Where my uncle is somebody who's like, give me a basic t-shirt. I just need my logo on something. I need my employees to be wearing something. So of course I'll send him like a good quality t-shirt, but nothing that's like crazy or you can't find anywhere else. There's always like different preferences with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So diving into the products that you do sell, so give our audience a flavor of, if they were to go onto your website, what types of products would they see? What would they be able to purchase? Just give us an idea.
So yeah, if I'm not working with a small business on the other end of my shop, you went onto my website, we have a drop down bar and it has home decor. It has all different kind of clothing for adult and kids. It has gift items, pet items, and then usually at the bottom of our drop down will be whether it's a holiday or a special event happening, we will definitely do like a big launch for it. So for Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, anything like that, we usually give a date and we will launch up to, the minimum is like 20 items. We usually give a lot of items for launches, and we let people just go shopping. We do our like most items that like sold the most the previous years, or we will actually like look in our email and see what was requested the most. A lot of people will send us like a custom request, and then I'll post it, and multiple people want it. So I'll take that item and I'll switch it for like the holidays, and then you'll see like people really like it. So, I use my customers' ideas, I use my own ideas, and then whatever seems to be selling the most, we add into our launches.
That's cool. So you really fluctuate with the demand and are constantly updating what you're selling. Yeah, that's different. I like that. And how are the items made? Like, do you manufacture out to other businesses, to other companies? Like, what is that kind of process like?
So everything's made by hand in our shop.
Okay, wow.
Which
Wow.
yeah, so we ended up buying 2 Cricut machines. We have 9 different kind of heat pressing machines in our office, which is amazing. It goes from plate pressing to hat pressing to clothing. We really invested in that area. And then we just recently invested in our Glowforge. So it's an engraver laser cutter that has just kind of like multiplied our options. So we're really excited. This was a really big year of investing in things that will need to grow and move faster. But at the end of the day, everything is made by hand.
Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't realize everything was made in your shop. That's incredible.
Yeah, so we actually work out of my house. We have 2 offices upstairs. We have a workshop office for the Glowforge, and then across the hall we have one that's just like a craft room. It's just where we do a mixture of everything. In our basement is an unfinished basement where we have our wood shop. So we have
Wow.
yeah, it's a lot of behind the scenes that I guess I never really I show in some things like on my stories on Instagram and stuff, but it all moves so quickly that I guess I never really like get into it. But yeah, in our workshop we have all of our like 8-foot and 4-foot plywood sheets and things like that where we cut down, and then we bring it upstairs and then we work in the other office. So it's kind of like an assembly line here.
Wow, that's crazy. And you keep saying we. Is it just you, or do you have a team with
I
you
do
as
have a
well?
team. I do,
Okay.
yeah. So we have 2 girls that work for us. I'm lucky. One of them is my mother, which is the
Nice.
best person that could work for you because she'll just do anything. She's always there. Like she's just like, oh, you want me to come to work again? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Like she's just my best friend. So that's
Uh-huh.
always a plus. And then I have another girl too that works 5 days a week for me. She comes 9 to 1 or 2 o'clock ish. and she just does her thing. So it's really cool. She does a lot of my deliveries and errands, and it
Hmm.
keeps me more in the office so we can produce more stuff.
Wow, that's great to have a team. That's a huge accomplishment as well. And were you able to take Shop Sammy full time, or do you have another job as well?
I actually, last August, so it's almost a year, I did quit my job and I
Wow.
took it full time. Yeah. So I went from being an event planner for 10 years at a restaurant, kind of doing
Okay.
the same stuff. I was just doing like, welcome signs and personalized things and setting up the tables. And then I just felt like I needed a normal job. Like that's kind of like the mindset I had. So I was like, oh, like let me go to a 9 to 5. So I signed up and worked at the bank. The bank was fine. I came home, I had my weekends, like there was no complaints, but I ended up buying the Cricut machine just out of a random purchase. And I like got right back into it. It was just like I was creating things when I got off. I was just like making things for people's events. I was just like diving back to where I was for 10 years. And I was like, I just should have never left. That's kind of how
Yeah.
I felt like I should have. Maybe I wasn't happy where I was or I wasn't where I was, but I think this whole creative life is where I belong for sure.
Hmm. But also, right, leaving that original job led you to opening up your own business, right? Without, like, if you had stayed, maybe Shop Sammy would have never came to be, you know?
And I personally don't think it would have. I don't
Yeah.
think taking the leap of going into a different job, and this is my advice to anybody else too, because a lot of people get stuck into like a routine of, the job pays well, you're happy, because I was very happy at my other job. You're just stuck in the routine and you think this is it. And
Mhm.
then one day you're just like, oh, well, maybe I'll try something different. And I'll be honest with you, the 2 years I worked at the bank, it was a little miserable. I took a pay cut. I wasn't have using my creativity at all, really, because the whole arts and crafts was kind of just like out the window. So it was hard to readjust my life for a little bit. And then it
Yeah.
led me back to where I like really wanted to be. So
Right. It proved that you did truly like that crafting and, everything that Shop Sammy is about, right? You had to experience something else to
yeah.
perhaps solidify your feelings around
Yeah.
what, yeah, your passion. Interesting. Yeah, so you dove a bit into how Shop Sammy started. Were you always, this very crafty person like when you were younger? Did you always have this fire in you to start your own business? Like what made you make that leap to, "Oh, I'm going to start my own business?"
So like when I was little, I would be in
Mhm.
my room and I'd just be sitting there and I'd be looking around and I'd be like, oh, I want to change my room. So like I would move my furniture or I
Mhm.
would like start painting a wall and my mom would come home and she'd be like, are you kidding me? Like you just switched this last month. And I'm like, I know, but I think it'll look better this way. So one day I actually went to my aunt's for a couple weeks in Illinois. And I came home and my mom painted every single wall a different color. And she was like, you're just going to be happy this way because it's just you can't change your mind anymore.
Yeah.
And I really was. And it stayed like that forever. And all of my friends will remember it too. They're like, you're the only one that had like a blue ceiling. I'm like,
Mhm.
you're right because I was happy with it. So like I always had that creativity in me. I just didn't realize it. I
Right.
never took like art classes or drawing classes or anything like that. I guess I was just always like trying to change and make something prettier or
Mhm.
better. I mean, it's weird when you talk about it.
I'm actually surprised to hear you say you never took art classes or anything. It sounds like you were expressing that craftiness and that art side of you, maybe in non-traditional ways, right? Like rearranging a room and like maybe you had other little hobbies that weren't necessarily classified as like creating art. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Maybe
Yeah.
you just had other avenues.
And it's just funny because like when I would take a job and stuff, they're like, "Oh, Sam, like you're creative, you can create that sign or something." And
Hmm.
I'd be like, "Yeah," like, and then I just start drawing bubble letters or just making it something. And I just never caught on to people like saying it. And now I'm like doing it for a living, and it's just wild to me.
Right.
Like some people will say like, "What do you do for a living?" And I'm like, "Oh, I create like gifts and this," and they kind of look at me like I'm crazy. But I'm
Mhm.
like, no, it's like actually a job. It takes time and it takes effort and it's fun.
Yeah.
So
No, that's cool. I love that origin story. That's awesome. More of a logistical question, but where are you able to ship all your products? Is it, just the United States, all over the world, just kind of that area of shipping?
I only ship to the United States.
Okay.
a lot of my wood items used to be a little bit larger than I was able to ship. So recently, as of actually June 1st, we switched our porch signs down to 4 feet, so we are able to ship them.
Okay,
Before
nice.
they were 5 feet, so like it was a little tough to ship things like that. We kind of downsized things so we were able to ship it. We're working on being able to ship almost every item on our website, but
Nice.
there are a few that are only local pickup. Like we have dog bowls that are extremely heavy, so to ship that and hope they get there in the right way is just nerve wracking to me. So I
Right.
only do those locally. So there's a few items on there I do want to fix so I'm able to ship everywhere. But for the majority, they can grab anything they want on my
Hmm.
website.
Cool. That's awesome. Are you based out of New Jersey?
Yes.
Perfect. Excellent. I'm from New Jersey. I grew up in Toms River by Seaside.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm in Belmar, so
Nice.
we have our local pickup in Belmar, and we
Awesome.
also have one in Brick too.
Excellent. So, yeah, I want to get back into kind of that journey of launching Shop Sammy. Interested if there are any major challenges or milestones that stand out in your mind, just kind of giving us an idea of some of the hurdles you guys have overcome. I don't know, any moments that stand out in this
Uh,
journey so far of launching your business?
yeah, definitely. When I actually quit my job, I thought I was going to do this alone. I
Hmm.
thought I was going to, wake up every day and kind of just do what was on my checklist and move on and kind of just take on what I can handle. And the reason I built a team was because it became very lonely. Like a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's so cool you work from home," but they don't realize that you cut out all the interaction. Like you
Hmm.
don't have that conversation with random people anymore. You do over email, but you're not physically like talking to somebody. And you don't realize it for a long time because at first I was like, "Oh, this is so nice. I don't have to be anywhere on time. Like I could just kind of do what I got to do." But after a while, you fall into that routine, and then you go out and you're talking to somebody, and you realize you haven't really done that in a long time.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of people obviously realize that with COVID and different things like that. But when that's your main job, it's different. And it was different for me too, working in a restaurant, constantly around people and working with people, to working completely by myself. So for me, I felt I had to build a team in order to grow because I wasn't happy not working with other people, if that makes sense.
No, it
So
does.
that was a big challenge because you have to pay people too. So I mean, I'm not making millions, and that's
Yeah.
like no small business is, and we all understand that. So when you have to hire staff, you have to pay for it. So it all kind of just starts building. But in the end, it was very challenging to get used to paying somebody and having somebody and teaching them. But I'm so grateful for it because I feel I'm just more myself. I feel if I was like by myself all the time, it wouldn't have been enjoyable.
I found that too, like working from home the past year, and I just recently started going back into the office. Like, there are definitely benefits of working from home for sure, but it does get
Oh
very
yeah.
lonely, being the only
I
coworker.
hate saying that word too because it sounds like so almost depressing, but it's just literally you're sitting in a room by yourself working,
Yeah,
and usually
yeah,
you're like have people to your left and right to at least say like, "How's your day?"
right.
So it's just funny.
No, I
But
totally agree.
that was a big challenge, yeah. And also another challenge for me personally is my boyfriend owns a business too,
Okay.
so we are both running very busy businesses. So time managing gets a little tough, but we're working on it. It's getting better.
Let's dive into that a little bit. So that's very cool that you guys are a couple running your own businesses. How is that balancing, work, life, kind of finding that harmony there? Any tips and tricks or just things you've learned about that?
So the thing that I've learned is my boyfriend owns just-in-time contracting, so
Okay.
he is very busy. He works by himself for the most part, but he does have one other helper. So it's
Hmm.
kind of like my situation where we have help, but a lot of it is on us because I'm the one that creates the project. So there's only so much I can really teach somebody. So we don't really have a lot of time, and we didn't realize it at first. He's been running the business for almost 5 years now, and I'm on my third year. So at first it was just me having to deal with his business. But then once we both started running a business, it was really tough. Like we didn't even really know what day it was anymore. It was like wake up,
Yeah.
work, go to the gym, and then like eat and go to sleep. Like it was just kind of like a routine. And then we finally one day we were burnt. We were burnt out, and we just said this isn't working. So we put a schedule in line, and we really take time for ourselves. Like, as I may have like a whole list of things, but sometimes I just have to turn it over and spend time with myself, even myself, like, yes, with him, but just away from the office. It took a while because there's days that I'm not busy and then he is. And that stinks too, because you can't stop sometimes just because the other isn't busy. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of challenges. We don't have kids yet. So that'll be interesting when we do dive into that situation of our lives. We talk about it all the time. How would we handle that too? So we have challenges ahead of us, which we definitely know. My goal is to try to build this as best as I can before we get there, and then just kind of work it out.
Yeah, really taking it day by day, right? And I also heard somewhere that you almost have to like when your schedule's crazy, especially running your own business or even, just having a job and everything going on in life, it's okay to schedule in like date night, like schedule in alone time, right? Like there's nothing wrong with putting that into your calendar because otherwise your calendar is just for work, but
Yeah.
it's really your full day, right? Your calendar isn't just your work day. So like, why would you only put in work stuff? Why not
Yes.
also include life stuff? I don't know. I thought it was a cool perspective.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. And we weren't liking how we were treating our own selves. Like, I wasn't really going to the gym anymore, or I wasn't even like taking 5 minutes for myself. And that just like isn't healthy. So when you
Right.
really like take control of that stuff, for the last like 3 months, we really took control because things were just opening up again and things were getting better. And we were like, okay, this is like the time to kind of regroup ourselves. And we just feel so much better now. I don't know how long it'll last. Hopefully it stays this like calm, but we work through it, and it's just the best way to do it. We have our days where we're like, okay, which one are we giving up because we're just like so tired. It's okay.
Right. Dealing it with it as it comes, there's
Yeah.
only so much you can do or prepare for.
We're very fortunate, we have our house and we have the things we want in life, so we're just
For
going to
sure.
keep working through it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great perspective to have. And speaking of planning for things, what does the future of Shop Sammy look like to you? Are there major goals or future milestones for the business that you'd like to share?
Yeah, definitely. I do hope that one day my shop can run with like a couple of girls, say, like maybe I have a fairly strong team and I can fully take a vacation and I can fully like take off for a week and not worry. We're working on it. The two that I have now, my mom and my other worker, she does weekends on her own when I go and do events, and things are getting better. Like, she's learning how to use the Cricut by herself. She's learning how to load things and design things, and that aspect of it makes me have hope for the future because you can't run a business all by yourself. You need help and you need a team to be able to count on for it to be able to keep going. And I'm really excited for that. I really am.
Just keep growing and aligning to that why you started the business in the first place, right? And just expanding that, scaling it.
Yeah. One goal that I'm unsure of for the future is opening up a storefront. I've always, yeah, of course, I want a storefront. I would love to see like my customers actually be able to walk in and personalize what they want and feel it and all that stuff. But again, you have to have a good team. So that's my first goal, is get the good team on my hands. And then if that actually works out, which is very hard nowadays, I know a lot of people that have opened places and they can't find staff, and that will hurt you, and
Yeah.
you'll almost do better in your own house running it from the computer than having your face out there because there's no staff to help you. It's like, I don't ever want to fall into that. So to build a team is definitely my first thing.
Right. I mean, a business is nothing without the people who run it, right? A business isn't even a thing without people. So,
And
yeah.
I didn't realize it till I left the restaurant either, because I used to be like my boss's right hand, and I did do a lot, and it was tough to leave there because I almost felt like, wait, how's this running if I leave? And of course it ran. He found a great person to replace me, and that happens, but it's hard to count on somebody and then have to like restart too.
For sure. Well, I wish you all the best in those future milestones. I think, yeah, you definitely have the right mindset and just keep pushing forward. And I'm excited to see where you take Shop Sammy.
Yeah, me too. Thanks.
Of course. And the last big question that I always ask every single guest on Virtual Coffee is, in this moment, kind of the first thing that comes to mind, what is your proudest accomplishment? And of course, it could be about your business, or it can be on a completely different topic, just kind of that first thing that pops into your mind.
My proudest moment is making this full time. Definitely. This is the first thing I thought in my life, like, oh, I wanted to be a teacher or I wanted to do this. Like, growing up, I was very good at school, always wanted to go to college. Like, but I never had, like, I had jobs in my mind, but I never knew exactly where I wanted to land. And I don't think I ever felt in a better spot than here. Yeah. Like, this is where I think I belong.
Yeah, that's so great to hear. I love when people find where they're supposed to be, especially for your job, because I think that's like one of the hardest areas of life, to find something you're truly passionate about and truly happy doing 8 to 9 to 12 hours a day. So that's huge. And the ability to take it full time, I mean, that's just incredible. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. It's tough, but it's great.
No, it's a huge risk, right? I'm sure it was terrifying at the time, but you did it.
Yeah,
and
it really was. And there's months I don't make it, and there's months I make it. Yeah, that's why you just do your best, and if you feel it could work, it will work. That's kind of how I feel. You'll make it work.
Exactly. I totally agree. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Sammy, for chatting with me today. And before we sign off, where can people find you in Shop Sammy? Social medias, website, etc.
So my website is shopsammynj.com. So that's pretty simple. You can just type that in and everything will come up. My Instagram is shop_Sammy_. And my Facebook is Shop Sammy Now. So, all three, we're on there. We do not take any messages through DM and direct message or anything, but we do take messages through our website. So any personalized orders or any, questions that you have, you can go right through our website. We have 2 forms. One's to create a custom order and one's to plan an event with us. So definitely you can click on one of those and we can, chit chat through email back and forth.
Excellent. Perfect. Well, I hope everyone checks out Shop Sammy. And again, thank you so much, Sammy, for chatting with me today and sharing your perspectives and advice. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.